George.
I'm George. That's Tom. And I got a haircut.
Nice. Looking good.
Not all of them. I was trying to get them to glue some back, but they wouldn't do that. Those mean people.
There's some places out there that'll do that for you, but it's not your standard issue salon.
No. So you're gonna laugh, but I don't know where Bitcoin is. I haven't paid attention. I've been working.
Bitcoin's in a good spot right now. And
Really? How did we end up?
we're at $43,272 right now. So I feel very good about that. And the miners were mostly up. There were a few that were a little bit red. The worst thing that was red was down 1.45%. And surprisingly, that was not Cypher. Cypher was not in last place today out of all the Bitcoin miners.
Who was in last place?
They were for a lot of the day. Gree down 1.45%. But that's nothing. I mean,
I don't know. That's pretty bad.
You know, you'd prefer it be up, but down one, anywhere from 0 to 1%, 1.5%. I'm not worried about, and most everything was up. Some things were up big.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then maybe you can give me the answers.
All right.
Do I know? I'm sure that. Who do you think owns Bitcoin? Who founded Bitcoin?
Oh, I know that one. I can't say, but
7 people. Yeah, big shout out. Thank you, guys. Tom was nervous about this stream because it's been such a rough couple of weeks now. It's been, what, 2 rough weeks, Tom?
it's been for Bitcoin miner holders. It's been a rough stretch. Let's just say that since about November 9th, which was great. Not a lot of good since then, but we had a nice rally at the beginning of this week. We kind of got ripped off with a massive overreaction, in my opinion, yesterday, and we're right back. I mean, we're at 43,260 something right now. We had a big green candle this morning at 9 o'clock, and we held that all day, and we're up from there. So I was having a conversation with somebody on the Discord last night. Hold on. Hold. Hey! Link in the description. You can join our Discord for free. That's my new toy that I was trying to play with last week and failed like 11 times. So, anyway, I was talking with somebody in the Discord, and they were like, how come the Bitcoin miners just are lagging so much and not doing well? And the thing is, the fear and greed index is still through the roof. So this is how these Bitcoin miners work. They lag Bitcoin in extreme fear. But you guys, if you've been trading for even just a year or two, you'll remember when we get back to greed, there's days. I mean, there were days Marathon was up 25% in one day. So the moves are violent in the Bitcoin miners, and they can lag behind. These are the days that frustrate me. Like, Bitcoin had a good day, in my opinion, and the miners, for the most part, were okay. I mean, some of them had good days. I did XPDI, which we're going to talk about more later, got back up to $10.03. It was at $9.22 when I made my video either yesterday or the day before, and I basically said, just buy. It's good. It's going back to $10, and here it is at $10.03. But that is a fascinating
What's that
company.
$10.03?
That's XPDI, which is Core Scientific. That's the SPAC that's merging with Core Scientific.
So do you think that's how do you feel about that? Did they announce everything? They come up with valuation? And
they did. And the thing about that's another thing I was talking about. Somebody asked me a question on, I heard that the XPDI is only 10% of the whole company, and it's actually even less than that. So these SPACs, if you don't do your homework, and we've seen it, in 2021, so many people went broke in 1 or 2 days because they were holding SPACs, and as soon as they converted, the bottom just fell out. Because people don't understand. I mean, maybe a lot of you guys do, but a lot of regular retail traders don't understand that, you know, the SPAC that you're looking at represents usually only a very small part of the total company. Most of the shares are in the company that already exists. Now, XPDI is a little bit different than most of the other ones because Core Scientific, unlike a lot of the other things that went public in 2020 and 2021, which had no business, like Cypher, for instance, they may be the best miner ever someday, but right now their hash rate is 0 and they've mined 0 Bitcoin. So that's not Core Scientific. They mined 1,000 Bitcoin last month. So even though it's only 8 or 10% of the value of the company in the SPAC, so you're still going to have you're not going to lose any stock. If you buy a share of stock, you'll still have a share of stock. It's just that it's going to become part of a much larger company, which right now they're putting a valuation of about $4.3 billion on. And when I look at Core Scientific numbers, I owe a member a video on Core Scientific. That was something that we promised on a live stream just before I ended up getting sick and going to the hospital and all that. So I've done all my research, and I will be doing that over the weekend. But it was a lot of research, but it is fascinating, and they are a monster. They're a force.
And to go back real quick on what Tom was just talking about with ciphers, you know, I was sitting down with my son. He came to lunch with us, and he's only 17, so, but not that that's a bad thing. He's just his age. But he started listing all the problems you could have when you have to install. How many miners do they have to install?
I don't remember off the top of my head on Cypher, but my memory is fresh on the video I just did today, which is IREN, Iris Energy. So I know none of you guys watched it because it has like no views. It's my lowest viewed video. So check it out because it's fascinating. And I don't think people know it's a Bitcoin miner. They've ordered 154,000 Bitcoin miners. So,
and we were thinking, how long would it take to set that up? I mean, 154,000. How many can you do in a day? Even if you were a stud and you did 20, you know, it's still astronomical. Yeah.
This industry is a lot more complicated than a lot of people think. You know, it's not just buy machines, plug them in, mine Bitcoin, make money. There's a lot more to it than that, and when you're buying machines on that grand of a scale, and Cypher has, you know, I don't remember what their exact number is, but, you know, they've got 100,000 machines coming. Marathon's got 100,000 machines coming, and there's a few others that have that. Riot has a massive amount of machines they've ordered. They have ordered up to 18.8 exahash. So,
and then one of the other things I do is we're commercial builders, and I can tell you right now, I guarantee that these guys didn't put in any type of fire suppression system. And we're gonna you know, when you have a lot of electric pushing out on computers, you're gonna have a fire. It's just a matter of time. One of these guys are gonna catch on fire. I don't care how smart you are, how good you are with this type of electric. If you don't have something to, you know, suppress that fire, and who knows how complicated, especially up in Canada with like Bitfarm operations. I know nothing about, I'm just giving you an example of the things that can go wrong when you're going and hurrying up and trying to make things
and these are basically power plants that they're building.
Yeah.
You can call them Bitcoin mining facilities, but they're power plants.
Yeah, that's a lot of power. That's a lot. I'm missing all the notes, and I'm sorry. Let me start real quick. Hey, Greg. Hey, financial. You know, anything you guys want to talk about, hit them in the chat so we can get to it. And, you know, this will probably just be a real quick, you know, 5-minute, maybe tops, dive into stuff if you have any questions. And I know I got into a conversation with some people about the way I think about Bitcoin. And I just want you guys to know how I think about it versus how Tom thinks about it. Tom is very analytic. He's very like, well, they've, this is going on. This guy's hoodling. Is that right? Hoodling. This guy's hoodling. And this guy, and I tell him, I feel that Bitcoin is more of a, it's more of, I would say, of a feeling. And I don't mean it like in that, but I feel that Bitcoin, this is the weirdest thing ever, but I think that, think about this. When you control the money, you can control the attitude of a country. You can control the attitude of a world. And I think that it has more to do with that than anything right now. Right now, I'm not saying that Tom's wrong, but if you look at any stock right now, we were going through the Russell 2000, Tom?
Yeah.
And Tom was just shaking his head telling me this stuff. He's like, George, he goes, you don't understand. There's at least 500 of these companies that aren't going to be around in 18 months. He goes, there's just no way. They don't have enough cash. They're not going to be able to raise any cash. And he goes, there's at least 500, but no one cares because with the Russell 2000, they just get rid of one and put another one in its place. So just be really careful with your financial planning as you go on. We don't advise anybody to have 100% of their money in Bitcoin. We don't advise anybody to have to do anything except research and do their own advice, because as the one chat always says, this is not financial advice. We can give you ideas and we can give you which way we're thinking, but let's be honest, the decision lies with you guys. So Tom, great day. But what's OSTK? What are those? An e-commerce company that accepts Bitcoin. Oh, okay. I don't know who they are.
I mostly I'm focused on the Bitcoin miners, and there's so many new ones coming online. Right now I've got 18 on my list that I follow closely, and there's a bunch more past that I need to add to my list over time. Some of them obviously are a lot bigger than others, but to me, the leverage play that a Bitcoin miner provides is just so much. If you're going to, rather than go into one of the other things because they hold some Bitcoin, I'd rather just go into Bitcoin. Now, it's going to be more volatile in all likelihood, but if you believe in Bitcoin and you think the long-term bull case scenario is real, then, if you're not going to invest in the miners, that's the next thing that I would do.
And how many people believe the CPI number that came out the other day? And Ryan, I'm sorry about your crabs. I'm sorry about that. Thanks for enjoying the stream. Glad to hear somebody bought more CleanSpark. I saw somebody real quick. What's the best deal in the market in miners right now, Tom?
It's still there's three massive laggers, and they have not caught up yet. In fact, one of them got worse. So to me, just doing the math, and this doesn't mean these are the three. Remember, because a lot of people get mad. They're like, they're not the best miner. I'm not saying they're the best miner. I'm saying they're just mathematically the most undervalued, in my opinion, when I do my valuation. And they are Bitfarms, CleanSpark, and DigiHost. And DigiHost kind of crashed this week when it was already down. I mean, if I had to pick just one, I probably couldn't. But Bitfarms and CleanSpark are a little bit safer investments. They're bigger companies. But CleanSpark is so ludicrously undervalued. I can't even... It's insanity.
It's insanity?
In my opinion.
I'm just reading. What is undervalued?
CleanSpark. And I know a lot of people have some emotional problems with CleanSpark, but this is not an emotional process. We're just trying to invest, make sound investments, and make money. A lot of people are very mad that it seems like they've abandoned the microgrid side of their business. And I don't think they've abandoned it, but they have certainly put it on the back burner, and they so much as said so. But that is because they literally found machines that mint money. So they're going with those instead. I can't blame them.
Real quick, Mark wrote, CCIV got destroyed when it went to Lucent.
That's a perfect example. And that's one where the valuation changed and everybody got destroyed on that one.
And Mark, and then he wrote down, so I won't go into a SPAC again. Tell me, you said something about the valuation and how they determine the value of a SPAC. Can you explain that a little bit more? Everybody thinks it's like market value is like a normal stock, but you're like, no, it's not. And can you explain that to me a little better?
You have to actually go in and read the SEC documents, and they have to put all this information in there. But typically in the first several drafts, they don't put a valuation, so that is left open. So you're left to speculate what they're going to put the valuation of the company at, and depending on what they do, you can get destroyed on a SPAC. Now at this point, XPDI they've announced all the details are there. There's still some variables. Are the preferred stockholders going to convert all their shares to common stock? Is the broker going to convert all the additional shares that they get as a part of the transaction? So there's some minor things that can change right now, but I have a pretty good idea on what's going to happen with XPDI, and I think this is one of the first ones that I feel like, I have not bought it yet, but I think I'm going to. I wish I bought it when I told everybody to buy it at $9.22, but I didn't follow my own advice on that one. But but it's so hard. You got to be ultra careful, and then again, you got to wrap your mind around the fact that, like, you look at the thing, and that's only 8% of the company.
Which company
SPAC.
Is that again?
That one is Course. The
Core
SPAC
Scientific?
is XPDI, and the company's Course Scientific.
Hopefully that answers your question, Mark. What's BTCS? Somebody just wrote BTCS.
Oh, they're raging right now.
You know what else is raging? Doge.
Oh, well, Elon Musk just pumped Doge.
I think it's up like 22% in the last 2 or 3 days.
You can buy your Tesla with Doge coins now, like anybody's going to do that.
Doge.
So,
Any thoughts on Square getting into Bitcoin mining?
I just was reading an article on that, and I can't remember. They're calling themselves Block now, I think, but it's Square. And I'm reading, what's his name? Jack Dorsey, whatever he is. He's saying all these generic things, and it's like, but how are you going to do that? He's, I'm going to make Bitcoin accessible to the common person so that everybody can mine Bitcoin. And it's like, okay, but how? Tell me how, because you cannot do it without an ASIC machine, period. So unless he plans on going into the business of building and selling machines on a retail basis, there's really no other way for him to do that. That's the only way you can mine Bitcoin. So he hasn't given specifics of his plan. He just keeps saying these happy generic things about how all the people will get to participate with him. But he can prove me wrong, but at the moment I don't believe him, because I can't conceptualize a way that he could make that work short of just creating ASIC miners and selling them to people. And probably, really, in reality, he would have to host them as well, because most people can't just set up an ASIC miner. Some of you guys might have already done that, and some people can, but the regular investor, that's not something they can do. So I think his plans are pie in the sky. I think it's something he's going to talk about for a while. It's never going to happen. That's my opinion. I don't know that, but I think I'll tell you this, they own 8,000 Bitcoin. So he's big into Bitcoin. He's huge into Bitcoin. So that part of it, I feel like he's just trying to talk about it and get it out and increase public awareness. And I don't know, maybe he'll put something together that works somehow, but I'm not sure what that would look like. You guys can let me know if you understand what that would look like, because you're looking at how you're going to compete with, you got IREN that just bought 154,000 Bitcoin mining machines. Each one of those mining machines, each one of those has the computing power of thousands and thousands of regular machines. So, I mean, the math just isn't there for me on that. But maybe he'll surprise us all with something I haven't conceived of yet.
So, big thing happened this week, Tom. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it and tell me your feelings on it. Is Bitfarm and how they bought, or what they do? They bought coins or leveraged or something.
Oh, they bought 1,000 coins. So a lot of people had a lot of people had mixed feelings on that as well. I put out a video specifically on that because I feel good about what they did there. I understand what people's concerns are, but they're strengthening their balance sheet. If you can borrow money, you know, it's even at 10%. The money they make mining Bitcoin is so drastically higher than that if you can borrow money at 10%, buy Bitcoin, and then, you know, leverage that Bitcoin, because that's what they're doing. That's what Bitcoin, before they bought these 1,000, they went and leveraged some Bitcoin to get a loan. So I think that is going to be their new business model. Instead of continuing to dilute and dilute and dilute their shareholders, they're going to accumulate Bitcoin, borrow money against it, and buy their miners that way. So that's what I believe their business model is, and I think that makes sense. I think everybody's going to do that as soon as they can.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Yeah, as soon as the money's available, I would imagine that's the way everybody's
because
going to do it.
they're all starting to do it. So
any rumblings, just because we're talking about this, any rumblings of what's going on with the ETF?
Well, it got punted down the road a couple months again, so, you know.
COVID?
I just don't know how long they can keep, you know, passing on making a decision on that. I feel like that is inevitable, and that is the biggest thing that looms out there, in my opinion. That's a monumental game changer. And I gotta believe 2022 is the year, but I know an awful lot of people went into 2021 saying the same thing. So, you know, there's no guarantee. But at some point, they've got to start making some of these decisions. You know, they won't decide anything on XRP. They won't decide anything on an ETF. And then they give us this ridiculous futures ETF, which is nothing like a spot ETF.
It's basically a way to steal money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
electrical equipment.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. JM, electrical equipment and transformers are still hard to get. That's the other reason why I'm still wondering about the stock market, but it's not going to crash this year. I'm not financial advice, but I don't know how it can in an election year in the United States. It doesn't make sense.
Thanks, JM. Appreciate it.
BTBT is a major buy. What do you think? BTBT. I know I have some. A few thousand shares, I think.
Well, they're at $5.83 right now, and, you know, they were significantly higher than that. And they're very close to, I mean, when they were at $4, I threw up the biggest buy signal I ever have on any of these Bitcoin miners. That was insanity. And here they are back down at $5.83. So yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not going to argue with anybody who's buying that.
And then did Bitfarm ordered around 60,000 machines, right? You know that's true. They ordered the 100s, the S19Gs.
Yes. Oh yeah, everybody, please, if you could do us a favor and just like the video. Oh,
I like it.
Can you like the video and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell?
What's the best buy if you had an extra $1,000? Ryan wants to know. What would you buy right now? You had an extra grand.
I guess I'd probably put it in CleanSpark. You know, my second place is Bitfarm. I don't like to push DigiHost because it's so much smaller than all the rest of these that even though it's so wildly undervalued, I just think people are safer in Bitfarm and CleanSpark. And those, to me, you know, not financial advice, but to me, those are just so ridiculously undervalued right now. And that doesn't mean a lot of these other ones aren't undervalued. Most of the ones, the further you are towards the top of my list, it's probably a company I have pretty strong conviction in. So, you know, and I'm talking about this list here on the side. I think you guys can see this. All of these stocks are undervalued. They're all going to participate if and when Bitcoin gets healthy and we can get through this extreme fear. And, you know, we could be sitting in extreme greed 3 months from now. These stocks could double or triple in that period of time. It's happened before, and there's no reason to believe it wouldn't happen again. So that's That's the upside of these. The downside is when you're sitting here in November and December and they're going nowhere and they're going down when they should be going up. It's maddening. But if you can wait it out, that's what I think is ahead. That's what I'm expecting by the end of the first quarter or early in the second quarter of 2022.
And no one could have predicted what happened at Kakistan or Kakistan. No, that wasn't on anybody's radar, and I think that's the biggest reason why Bitcoin got punished.
And the thing is, a lot of that is just pure FUD because, yes, George is right. You know, that's a headline they can put out there, and they start to scare people. But if you look at the Bitcoin worldwide hash rate, yeah, they were saying, I think, they have 18% of the hash rate, but it didn't go down 18%. The fluctuation was fairly small, and even if it did go down 18%, there's so much hash rate now, it doesn't matter. The Bitcoin network is so ridiculously stable, the hash rate could get cut in half and it would still be fine. And it's not going to get cut in half because, like I just said, there's 3 or 4 or 5 companies that have 100,000 machines on order. So it will only go up from here. So to me, if I'm sitting here thinking this is great because, you know, just like when China got out, all my Bitcoin miners are going to get a bunch of extra Bitcoin this month. But I think that was drastically over-exaggerated. Just to put more fear. It's all fear. Right now, the fear index is through the roof, and it has been for over a month.
It's the longest it's been for a long time.
That's right. A month is a very long time. We had one time earlier in the year where we had 2 months fluctuating between fear and extreme fear. And at the end of those 2 months, we ran straight up to $69,000. So just when everybody, when Bitcoin got below 30 and people were talking about 15, bam. So that tends to be the way. And there's a bunch of evidence out there, to me, in a lot of the, a lot of the analytics that I look at, that I just think we're pretty solid in this range. I think we've bottomed out. I have this yellow circle here at $39,000. I don't even think we're going to retest that, but we certainly could. Bitcoin likes to jump up and down. But even if we do that in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, right now, the leverage position, this is one of the, I wish they would get rid of this leverage because it has an undue impact on the price of Bitcoin. Having said that, at the moment, it's going to work in our favor because how many times have people been over-leveraged long because everybody thought Bitcoin was going to the moon, and then all the shorts have to do is come in and move it down a little bit, and everybody gets instantly liquidated. Well, we're in the exact opposite position right now. The shorts are wildly over-leveraged. So at some point, and I don't think it's the hedge funds that are wildly. I think it's the retail investors that are looking, those are the people they measure the fear and greed index on. Everybody's flipped on Bitcoin. Now they're terrified of it. So all the people that were going long, they're now leveraging short. Well, they're going to get killed again, unfortunately.
2 things. I saw somebody type in, it'd be irresponsible not to have Doge. I agree. I have Doge. I'll buy it and I'll sell it and I'll buy it and I'll sell it. I do that all the time with Doge. It's been a great money maker. But I don't believe, over the time, it's not a long-term strategy that I think. If you're buying and selling, not financial advice, but I would recommend doing that. But I mean, it's not going over. Is it going over $1, Tom?
It's a great swing
$1.50
trade.
maybe $1.30.
I severely doubt it's ever going over $1. It's a very good swing trade. It has some super high profile people that put it on the radar from time to time. Obviously, the biggest one of which being Elon Musk. So if you're swing trading it, you can make a bunch of money in that. I think if you buy Doge today and hold it for 10 years, and you buy Bitcoin today and hold it for 10 years, one of those 2 people is going to be rich, and the other one's going to have a bunch of Dogecoin.
But he's not saying which one. Which is the most undervalued, CleanSpark or Riot? You think it's CleanSpark?
I mean, I think it's CleanSpark, but having said that, I have a big position in Riot. I think Riot is ridiculous at its price right now. I mean, it was at $40 not too long ago, and it was way higher than that earlier in the year. So I think Riot is way too low. I will buy and hold that. I don't even have any options on Riot. I just have stock. I'm just holding their stock. Riot and Marathon, it's hard. You're better off selling options, in my opinion, than buying them because the premium is so massive on those two that I just buy the stock. And from time to time, you can sell some options and add a little bit of profit. But yeah, I don't object to either of those. Those are two of my big positions. So
Add Nile. Thanks. This is not financial advice. NILE on your list.
oh, you're
You're
saying
supposed to do that. Yeah.
add that?
Yeah. Add it on your NILE.
Oh, BitNile.
I think we forgot this last time too.
I mean, I think I can literally add it right now.
What is there? They're 90 million.
Yeah. We don't want to get too sidetracked, but let's just see.
Argo is well undervalued. CleanSpark is just insane from Jeff. Hey Jeff. Somebody has 50. Ala has 5,200 shares at $13 at CleanSpark, but I think it'll come back. I mean, I don't see why. And somebody wrote, and I didn't see it again. This is a 5-year play, and I bet you he's pretty spot on.
Here's the thing that let me pull this up because it feels awful. Your basis is 13 or 14, and it's a lot worse than that for some people on CleanSpark. I mean, this thing was at $42 a year ago. But if I go there, see, we're already off the charts here. I go to the 1-day candle. So 2 months ago, this thing was $23. So your basis in it is 13 right now, and that feels awful. But this can go right from 8 to 23, which is almost a triple. And I'm expecting it to do that in the year 2023. I'm not necessarily expecting that in the first quarter, but I'm expecting big results in the first quarter. And I think a reasonable target, not financial advice, but I think a reasonable 1-year price target for this is somewhere $24-25. So at 13, you're at almost a double from your cost basis. Never mind the, triple or quadruple from where you are right now. And that's why I'm holding all my CleanSpark. I have a combination of shares and options in CleanSpark because they're a lot more affordable and they're mostly longer term options. And I have not sold any of those really in 6 months.
Good video. It's JM. Thanks for the shout out. Good video on Bitfarm. My wife decided to vacuum. I think she does this. You know how they are, women. I can't believe I have one, but I'm married. Jeff, have you heard of ISWH? It's a small miner, still on the OTC, and it's changing its name to Block Query.
What is it?
ISWH.
Block Query. So this, I don't know these guys. This is $16 million market cap. And this is what I'm saying. There's so many more Bitcoin mining companies, and I do want to look into all of these. I will tell you, I'll probably never recommend even DigiHost, which hovers around $100 million. I'm hesitant to talk about. So the ones that are 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, some of those might be great investments, but I don't talk about them a lot on the channel because they're just so small that it just dramatically increases the risk. But that doesn't mean they're not good investments. So I can definitely add this to the watch list.
Well, and then there was Lux. I don't know where Lux is, but That's like the only one that we ever paid attention to.
Lux
'cause
has some
20?
very good plans. So even though they're still a little bit, they're a lot bigger than they were. But
Put an eye in there.
you know what? I don't want to lose where we are, so I'm going to open another one.
Do another one. Look at that. Drops 200 points. Wow. Retail sales miss? Shocker. Wow. I went to the malls. Everything looked healthy.
So
What in
Lux
the
Folio
world?
is just the same size as the last one we looked at. 17, $18 million. So that is very small. They do, and maybe these other guys do the same thing, and I need to look into it. Lux Folio keeps their investors pretty well informed, and they've got a lot going on. So that's why I pay more attention to that one. There's so many Bitcoin miners that have gotten on board with these monthly updates where they're telling you how much Bitcoin they mined, what their hash rate is, what it's going to be. With that level of detailed information and their quarterly balance sheet and income statement and cash flow statements, you can really start to make strong valuations on these instead of having to guess in the dark that you think, this one's going to do good things, I hope.
Yeah, and I know with Lux, it got up to 99. It says
Thanks,
99
Jeff.
cents.
Appreciate
I
it.
sold it at 70. So I love it. But I bought it at 22. So 20 cents. But I can tell you that none of the stuff that they said has come true yet. Just like all the other ones. It's supposed to come true by the May of 2022. But, they didn't even have the machines unordered, so Bitcoin runs out transaction fee. Oh yeah, yeah. But how long until Bitcoin is 100% mined?
I think it's like another 120 years or 140 years.
Is it? Right? But 90% of it's mined already, Tom.
It is. 90% of it is mined, and with these halvings, it has a dramatic effect on how much gets mined. And so it's going to take a long, long time to mine the rest, over 100 years. And, obviously we can't even imagine what the price of Bitcoin is 100 years from now. That, those numbers don't even make sense to us. If people tried to do that 100 years ago and they said, oh, Apple's going to be a $3 trillion company, that would be inconceivable. Actually, if you told somebody that 30 years ago, it would be totally inconceivable. I think just Apple right now, and this is not a verified fact, but I'm going to check it. I think the market cap of just Apple is bigger than the market cap of the entire New York Stock Exchange was 75 years ago.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think you could go.
Well, inflation hasn't gone at that rate, so that's
right.
astronomical growth.
Well, somebody said from the year 2012 until basically 2020, you could have bought any stock in the top 100 stocks, and you're like 5x.
All the stocks that all the blue chip stocks, and I will tell everybody that I don't know when this is going to happen, but I am afraid. I spent a bunch of time over the weekend looking at all the blue chips, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, even the tech ones, Apple, Amazon. Everybody's saying, Amazon didn't have a great year. Let's invest in them this year. They're due. Yeah, but here's my problem with Amazon.
Uh-oh, drum roll, please. What's the fate of Bitcoin miners, right? Ally, what will be the fate of Bitcoin miners if there is not more Bitcoin to be mined? So I think that answered that question. We got 100 and some odd years before we worry about it.
Amazon's PE ratio, they are like the fourth biggest company in the world, and their PE ratio is 63. There's no sense to that. So to me, at any other time in history, this stock would have been viewed as mind-bogglingly overvalued with a 63 PE ratio. And it's a $1.6 trillion company. So what are they going to bump it up to 100 PE ratio? That's what it was a year ago. So that's why it had a bad year. They took a year to go sideways and get from 100 PE ratio down to 63 PE ratio. So these PE ratios are scaring the daylights out of me. There's companies that have 6 to 8% growth a year, and they have 40, 50, 60 PE ratios. Amazon is still at least a growing company. They have very healthy growth, but, Home Depot isn't.
What should it be, Tom? Where do you think are you comfortable with it?
25 or 30 would be traditionally a reasonable.
So 50 is the new 25 and 30?
At the moment, but it will not stay that way.
Say that again.
It's not going to last, and I don't know when it stops. It could be a year, it could be 3 years. The market can be irrational for a long time, but at some point, money right now, especially right now, all of you guys probably all invest in, the small cap high growth, then the money has been sucked out of that completely. Everybody's hiding their money in these 5 or 6 gigantic tech companies. And, those are the risk-off trades right now. Not even gold, not Bitcoin. Those 5 or 6 companies are the risk-off trades, and that's what everybody's doing. But that is going to change shortly. And so I would not want to be, let's forget I would not want to be. I don't own any of those stocks. So you guys can do whatever you want. This is not financial advice. I don't own any of those stocks right now. I did in years past, and I wish I held them until today. But
you should have.
Hindsight's 2020. I mean, who would have known?
No, it's 2022 now. 2022.
The thing that I try to look at is eventually, if it takes 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, stocks will revert to their value. So when we look at the list, which George and I have done many times, we'll look at 30 stocks and 28 of them, their value will be stupid. But sometime in the next 5 years, they're going to revert back to a proper valuation. So those are the stocks that I look for to try to buy. Stocks that are wildly undervalued, that I don't care if it takes 3 years for them to get back, because they have to triple or quadruple or 5x to get back to a reasonable valuation. Well, Amazon's in the opposite position. Amazon could get cut in half tomorrow, and they would still be over a 30 PE, which is huge for a large cap stock.
Somebody, I guess it's Kirby, wrote, they don't understand Galaxy Hut and Bitfarm, the loan between Galaxy Hut and Bitfarm. Do you know anything about that?
Between Galaxy Hut and Bitfarm?
Yeah. I don't understand is the loan between Galaxy Hut and Bitfarm.
I'm not sure what they're talking.
I don't know if it means Galaxy, Hut, and Bitfarm. If it's all three, I think
Galaxy may have lent money to the both of them, and they didn't. I will tell you, Hut did not disclose the exact terms of the lending, but it's not convertible debt; it's straight debt. So we know that. We just don't necessarily know what interest they're paying, and how much they got. Was it a 80% loan to value? Was it a 60% loan to value? So they didn't really disclose those things. So the reason you don't understand them probably is because they really haven't told anybody. But whatever it is, even if they can leverage their stuff at 70% loan to value, it's that's money because they're getting the appreciation on the Bitcoin as well. So they get to keep their Bitcoin, get appreciation on the Bitcoin, get to borrow against it at a much lower rate, buy mining machines, and get more Bitcoin. That's the circle of Bitcoin life for a miner.
I think JM was with us as we talked yesterday, because he says BTBT does not own their own buildings. And we had a long conversation about that, because owning your own building, you got to burn through a lot of cash to get that building up and running. You got to raise money.
Different companies have taken different strategies. Marathon is an example. They're the biggest market cap out of all of these, and they lease all of their energy because they just feel like their capital is better spent on Bitcoin mining machines. So I don't, there's no one right answer to this, but a lot of these miners have taken slightly different philosophies on how to get where they're going. And we'll see. I think all of them are going to be, I can't say all of them. I think many of them are going to do very, very well, regardless of which strategy they've taken. And we may find out that one strategy was better than the other. Or maybe sometimes, when energy costs are low, if Marathon's leasing energy, then that's going to be a better time for them. And then when energy costs go up, if you've got your own energy plant, then it's a better time for you because you don't have to buy energy. You own it.
Yeah, what if you got your own pipeline? Barry asked, will you be offloading some of your positions before the first rate hike in March?
I will not be. I am not afraid of the rate hikes. I am not afraid of the Fed. And I will just tell you, and this is contrarian probably to most people, but I have been watching and listening to the Fed for 25 years, and all I can say is they got an awful lot to say versus what they actually do.
What exactly do you do here?
A rate hike, it's going to be 0.25%. You think you think people are going to decide, what, I'm not going to mind. I think Bitcoin's going to go up 150% this year, but they raised rates 0.25%, so I'm going to switch my money over into 10-year bonds so I can get 1.8% interest. I just don't. The world doesn't work the way it used to work like that, and the Fed only has so many. They can talk all they want. They only have so many rate hikes they can do. And it's very limited. They'll when they talk about 5, that means they're thinking about doing 2 or 3. And for many years, every single quarter they said we're going to raise rates next quarter, and they went 15 or 20 quarters in a row without doing it. So they don't have as much control anymore.
Ali wants to know, with CleanSpark, do you think it's realistic $53?
I don't know that that's a realistic 12-month price target. I certainly wouldn't count on that, but yeah, I think ultimately it's going to be a lot higher than that. But that would be more, for me, that would be more of a 2 to 3 year price target.
Yeah, then carry on 5-year. Don't seem to worry about what's going on. Should we have bonus for mining stuff? Own Doge. And then somebody said this, Jeff said this, hedge fund manager in New Jersey at least are viewing Solano, I think, ETH and Bitcoin as optional strategy for 2022. I'm still an XRP guy. And then when I heard about what's going on with XRP, and just tell me how in the world the SEC can bring a lawsuit against XRP and not Ethereum. If you can answer me that question, then
well, they not only brought it, they just let it linger forever.
Right. So I don't know. Oh yeah, and Elon Musk, this is really cool. About 3 days ago, Elon Musk went on TikTok. And his freaking channel has blown up. It's so cool. I'm sorry. I'm still a big Elon Musk fan. His company. There's just so many things that guy's doing. It's just so amazing. I mean, how'd you like to rent space in his brain, huh?
Listen, I'll tell you, he's not afraid to do his own thing. So I'll give him that much.
Yeah, I mean, he's just wow.
I do think he did Bitcoin wrong a while back.
You know he did.
I'm not over that yet, but...
Well, he did it because it was his own self-interest at heart.
Yes.
We know that, Has a great track. Elon Musk has a great track proving people wrong. Imagine a space race, and he takes Doge to Mars. Just saying, there are ways. Yeah, Yeah,
Everybody
I
like and
agree.
subscribe, please.
I think the one thing with Doge is they're gonna have to burn some, and if they do that, then there's an opportunity there. Is Doge a token or a coin? Do you know? I think it's a token. Do you know, Tom?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I wonder if it is. Okay. Do you think I'll get a chance to exit my CleanSpark 60 strike calls for January 23? My cost basis is like $1.20. That's from Jeff.
And what are they?
Strike is $60 for January 23, a year from now. He's in for $1.20.
For which company?
CleanSpark.
And what's the?
and $60 for January
of 2023 or 2024.
Yes. No, 23 a year from now.
I mean, those will probably go up in value, but if it was me, I wouldn't hold those. And somewhere in the middle of the year, I would probably get rid of those as CleanSpark goes on a run, because it's likely those will run up in value. But if you hold them all the way to maturity, if CleanSpark doesn't get where you hope it went, then they're going to be worthless. So I think it's a good swing trade investment, but it's something that I probably wouldn't hold any later than September or October for me.
What is it? Well, and I think it also determines what the price is at September or October, right? I mean,
well, you've got to get to a point where you can see, conversely, if in September, October, CleanSpark's at 100, then, that's a different story. But if it seems like
I would still sell.
If it seems out of, yeah, exactly. I'll take my money and run at that point. But at some point, the equation switches to where the amount of
delta.
Right. There's not enough time left to get where it's going if you're too far out of the money. And so you'll see options closer to the money on your same expiration date going up while yours are going down because they're just too far away from the money. So that's the only worry I have about that. But I think for $1, I mean, the $1.20, I mean, they're giving them away.
And I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. I had an option, and I'm always going to say this. I was in the money with Marathon, and I was selling them. I was doing a vertical put, and I did I was like, okay, so what I do is every week I go 2,000, I take the 2,000, then double it 4,000, then I double the 4,000 to 8,000, and I keep going as long as I'm making money. And it got to where we were like 6 or 7 weeks into it, so it was a really big spread. And it was Marathon, and then that morning Marathon wrote, "Oh, by the way, we didn't mine too many Bitcoins in November," and it destroyed me. I ended up losing all of my last 6-week profit. I was just like, "Oh, you bastards!"
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, Marathon had a rough November.
Yeah, I mean, it destroyed.
They crushed it in December, but not so much in November.
And thanks for the super chat, Jeff. Appreciate that. I don't know. OSKUZ. I don't know. I mean, Tesla's PE is astronomically. It's out of control. Astronomically way overvalued. It is, but you know what's great about him is just when you think it shouldn't be there, he comes up with something that nobody was talking about. It's like, how do you have time to think?
I'm not allowed to talk about Tesla.
One of the things because everybody else does?
No, because no one will like what I have to say.
Well, one of the things he came up with was telephones, right? Isn't he going to do telephone service? He's going to do it. I think he's getting ready to do a telephone service. And then, is it true that he's already using his satellites for his own operations for internet? He's already using his own internet service.
I don't know, but I'm sure he'll be the first one to use them whenever they're ready to go.
It says the PE ratio for Bitfarms is 84.44. Huh. Do you wonder why that is?
Well, I'll tell you, this is another thing you got to be careful of. With all of the Bitcoin miners, they are just turning the corner to profitability, so their PE ratios are going to change drastically. So when you look at a company like Amazon, it's a very old established company right now. You know, it's not 100 years old like Coca-Cola, but there's not much that's going to change between this year and next year from a revenue standpoint and a profitability standpoint. But with the Bitcoin miners, they've all just gotten to the point where they're passing their profitability mark. So when you see a PE of 100 or even 1,000, that could go down literally to a PE of 4 or 5 in 1 year. And I'm expecting a lot of them to, if these stocks don't dramatically go up. So I would ignore all the PE ratios on Yahoo, because if you want to do that yourself, or if you guys want to have a separate live stream and we can just talk about going through the PE ratios of these and how I look at that. But I try to calculate the forward PE for all these, and the forward PEs are so drastically different than the trailing 12-month PEs that the numbers are almost worthless.
But wouldn't also, isn't it something to do with accounting and the way they have to categorize Bitcoin?
That is a piece of it, but that's not what it's affecting their PE. So that, you know, when they sell their Bitcoin, they get to take the gain on it. When Bitcoin loses value, they have to mark it down to market. When it gains value, they don't get to mark it back up. So all that does not help them. But the reality is, here's the thing. People don't realize, like, who is it? CleanSpark. In 2020, had $5 million in revenue. In 2021, they had $50 million in revenue. And in 2022, they're going to have $250 million in revenue. So when you have a company go from $5 million in revenue, that would be like Amazon going to $80 trillion in revenue. It just can't happen. You know, you're going from $5 million to $250 million in revenue. And oh, by the way, what they're doing now has an incredibly better gross profit margin than what they were doing before. So these companies have 70, 80, 85% gross profit margins. So, you know, you're at $250 million and an 85% gross profit margin. You know, once a lot of these beginning startup costs get out of the way, and, you know, you've got your depreciation and amortization, that's non-cash, but it still counts. But you're gonna see companies make huge sums of money, and then forget it. If Bitcoin goes, you know, I'm assuming Bitcoin's going to stay around $60,000, but if it goes to 100 or 150, then, you know, just double everything I just said.
So then your 60 isn't out of the. That would be a 1 year. Wow, that's crazy. Not financial advice.
It's just, that's what you have to look at with a new startup company like this. The everything is so different, and the Bitcoin mining industry is very unique as well. You know, it's like this. It's like software as a service and that kind of stuff. The margins can be astronomically high. But unlike those, there's no marketing, there's no customers. You don't have to, you know, your gross profit might be 95%, but maybe you got to spend 40% on sales and marketing. Well, as a Bitcoin miner, your sales and marketing number is 0. So that's a radical difference to almost every other business.
No refunds. Right?
Who are you marketing to? There is no market. You're mining Bitcoin. They don't have a customer.
Yeah, Logan, you're hitting a nerve. Have you guys looked into mining yourself? Any machines you recommend at a good value? Have we looked into it, Logan?
Have we ever?
Do you want the story? I mean, the story is quite involved. Yeah, we looked into it hard. I mean, you know, not astronomical or anything like that, but I mean, just, you know, a 40, 50 machines, 60 machines, nothing crazy. By the time when we started looking in the last week of November in 2021, no, it was 2020, and yes. We came up with some, you know, we came up with strategy. I had a location that I owned. We found the electric. We got everything all figured out, and the prices tripled in 1 week. and then they've never really come back down.
It was
They're
like,
actually
like we picked like the day we were just chasing. We were hopelessly chasing. And in retrospect, they went from $3,000 to $6,000, and then you go, you know what? I'm not going to do it. The price has doubled. Well, I'd love to have that machine for $6,000 now. Little did we know, it was going to be $20,000.
Yeah, I know. And now actually you can actually get some. The ant miners and the what is it called, the What's miners?
Well, yep.
Yeah, those are the two that really stood out in my mind of reliability. But there is just, I can tell you right now, people lost millions and millions and millions of dollars from Bitcoin miner scammers, like saying they had the miners and they got scammed. I'm telling you,
I would say 95% of everything out there that says they're selling miners, they're a scam, and they don't have any miners, and they're just stealing people's money. So unless you've got to have a direct link to one of these companies or one of these intermediary financing companies where you're actually going to get the machines. Otherwise, you just can't do it. And the problem is, these guys don't want to deal with somebody. Even if you want to buy 100 machines, what do they care? Iris wants to buy 150,000. So
yeah, what do they care about little old us? So then I found this guy, and I mean, he talked such a good game. He was like, oh no, I got him right here. I'm looking at him right now. And I said, I'll tell you what, I will jump in a plane and I'll drive it to the closest airport. And if anybody here is a private pilot, you can get to an airport within probably 5 miles of wherever they are. I said, I will bring cash with me, and I will land and I'll pick up the machines. Never heard from him again.
Yeah, as soon as you call their bluff, they disappear. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. So you averaged in, and you've got 30 of those right now. Yeah, you should. I feel like somewhere June, July, August, September, you're gonna be real happy about those. So, and 30 is a big number to have, so that's good.
All I know is when you are in the money with those, don't be greedy, because I have $5 Bitfarms for $2.14, and they have literally swung. I want to say, I don't know. I think we're up to 200 of them because they went down so low again. But they literally went way up where you could make. I would have made like, I don't know, $30,000, and then it's like down where I'm down $12,000. So that's $42,000 swing just in a matter of, I think it was 2 weeks. It was sometime in November is when they were good. Tom's talking about our Logan. You pay attention to all the stuff we do, don't you?
I couldn't believe it when I saw that pop up.
Yeah. The helium miners looks promising. You take it, Tom.
Well, and to be fair, this could have been as long ago as 6 months ago when we did our deep dive, and we really looked at their whole entire network, and unless you live in an ultra high dense population area, most of these people are making almost zero on their helium mining. What helium's goal is, they hope they're going to have 100 million of these or 500 million of these, and it's, that's going to become the new network. But right now, they're much less than 1% of the way there, and I don't know that they're ever going to get there. So unless you live like in the middle of Chicago or New York City, you're probably not going to have much success mining, unless things have changed radically. That, like I said, that was about 6 months ago. We did our deep dive on that one.
I almost sold it 3,000. I know it's hard. Go ahead.
I do not. I don't know if I said thanks to Jeff, but thanks again. I got one. What do you think of investing in the S&P 500 on a 2x leverage? I have no confidence in any of the indexes right now, so that would terrify me.
But with that being said, I don't think there's going to be a major correction of any. I think that where you're seeing right now is that this is what I honestly believe. The powers that be are pissed off of what happened this week and that's the reason the Dow's down right now. And that's, I mean, I know that it doesn't make sense, but that's what I believe. You know what I'm talking about, right? The vaccine mandate for companies over 100 employees.
So, Ricky, are you talking about the helium miners? Because it sounds like he's saying he's got some people and they're mining. They're getting some mining done.
But are they making money, Ricky? That's the question we want to know. I've already bought one. We'll see what happens. LOL was cheap compared to the. No, they're reasonable. Which one did you buy? Did you buy the? I think it's called a Bobcat. Did you buy the Bobcat? The Bobcat is, it looks like it has the biggest range, but where we are in Florida, hardly anybody has it.
Yeah, it was like we were going to be able to connect maybe to one.
Right, and that's the key, is it pings back and forth, and what scares me about the helium miners is, what is it for? What exactly is it mining? I believe this is what I believe. I believe it's mining everybody's passwords in that area. They don't really say, they give you the normal answer when you have a new meme crypto coming out. They can't really give you an answer of what their coin does, but it sounds the best you could ever imagine. It's like, what did the guy just say? Cleanspark or bust.
Well, I'm there with you on that one.
Did anybody watch the
my fair
Bitfarm
share of Cleanspark
at Needham Growth Conference?
I did not.
No, I did not. I didn't even know they had it. I also think that the Bobcat 300, I saw you could buy a shorter replacement cable. I think the biggest thing with that is to make sure that you get a strong antenna. And what I heard was you got to get it up in your attic.
You got to get placed as high as you possibly can. And and I don't know, maybe 3 years from now that's going to be the thing. But when we looked at it, it was like, where we live, we were going to get nothing. In a year, we would have gotten like next to nothing.
I know Tom will hate me for this, but this guy is one of the coolest guys I pay attention to on YouTube, and his name's Max Maher. And he's in the crypto and staking, and he really understands crypto. And if you guys don't know who that is, you should definitely check him out. He's pretty righteous dude.
I don't know who that is.
See? He doesn't even know who that is. But what I like about him is I'm a small business owner, and I run my own company, and he owns his own moving company. And so, he started a moving company, and he's multiplied it, and he still runs it today, matter of fact. So that's what I kind of liked about the dude.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, what do you think? How's Bitcoin doing? We'll close it out.
So we're at 43,241. So Bitcoin had a big green candle this morning at 9, and it's been creeping up ever since. So I think today was a very healthy day. The miners had a decent day. So I feel good. Well, we're going to have to see where it goes over the weekend. So what I'd like to see is a break through, 44,000 and start to move up. And what I really don't want to see is we do not want to go down and start testing these lower lines. So what do you guys think? We'll go real quick. I got about 5 minutes left, but if you want to just put where you think Bitcoin's going to be Monday morning. It's at 43,200 right now. When we open trading Monday morning, what's everybody think? Also, if anybody wants me to do a video, we were doing, and I kind of dropped it for a while. Anybody who had the highest super chat, if you recommend a video, I will do a deep dive on it and create a video for that. So just keep that in mind for the future.
Yeah, height is the biggest. Yeah, height is definitely the biggest part. Yeah, but definitely, Logan, let us know how you make out with that. We're all interested in that one to see how it works. And see if it messes with your sleep at all too.
And are you in a big city or are you in a rural area? Because that's another key question.
And there's another. If anybody else is thinking about doing any type of mining, there's another organization that I follow, and I'm real close to probably making a deal with them, and that's called Compass Mining. That's their website is compassmining.com, and you can do you can actually host. They have different locations across the United States where they will actually take the miners, set up the miners, and make sure they're running for you. And you just have to pay them, I think, a small percentage of what you mine.
Thank you, Money Lover. I forgot the market is closed in the United States on Monday. Thanks for the reminder.
Heart says 60, head says 43. I'm going to let you know, it's going to be the highest it's been in a long time, I'm going to tell you right now. But then come Tuesday, it will be back to roughly where it is right now.
That's what's been happening for a long time, but one of these days...
I'm going to
say
like the other.
Tuesday morning, we're at $47,000. But you guys know I'm a bit of an optimist.
All right. Let's say our goodbyes, Tom.
All right, everybody have a great weekend. Have a great long weekend. I will be doing videos all weekend, so if you're interested, you can watch my videos. And we'll definitely do our live stream as usual next Friday. Maybe we'll try and get a second one in next week. I appreciate everybody for showing up for this one. So thank you very much. And thanks for all your comments on my videos as well. I really, really appreciate that. So thanks to everybody.